This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. Russia's press secretary causes outrage with his comments regarding Ukraine. The leader of the CNHP is sent to a high-security prison. And gangs of young men armed with knives are running wild. But firstly, more from our main story. The Russian government has always wanted to negotiate an end to the war, but Ukraine has not responded to Russia's requests. Now, this is according to the press attaché of the Russian embassy here in Cambodia. He also said that the special military operation, more commonly known as a full-blown war, had a clear goal of protecting people who have suffered from genocide during the last 8 years. This statement has angered many, whereas others are simply outraged. These images are of Mariupol. This town has been liberated by the Russians, for that is what Vladimir Putin calls it. The earlier images you see right now show entire neighborhoods burning. These are the homes of the young, the old, the weak, the innocent. This second clip shows Mariupol yet again, but a few weeks later, looking for all the world like a moonscape, utterly devoid of life or of colour. This is what protecting people looks like when you do it from the barrel of a gun. That is why the comments from the press secretary have angered so many, as they are wholly insensitive to the suffering that has swept the nation as the Grim Reaper, now emblazoned with the letter Z, stalks the land. The Russian war tactics are a repeat of previous campaigns, and that is to bludgeon a city with high explosives, to render it uninhabitable. The residents have no choice. People flee their homeland on a biblical scale. It is a mass exodus, with over 5.5 million Ukrainians now becoming refugees. Behind them lays burning rubble that was once their homes, their schools, their places of work. Now all destroyed by an army that says they came to liberate them from evil. And if the corpses could rise up, would they say they felt protected from a foe that lay in the imagination of one man in Moscow? The founder of the CNHP political party was arrested this week and held in a high-security prison pending trial, after spending many weeks in hiding. The fugitive politician and founder of the Cambodian National Heart Party was arrested after allegations of fraud in the lead-up to local elections. Pluk went into hiding earlier this month after an arrest warrant was issued as he had failed to appear in court for questioning over the alleged use of forged thumbprints to register the CNHP. He had been charged with 2 separate counts of forgery of a document and the use of a forged document when registering the CNHP for the June commune elections. His lawyer said the reason given for him failing to appear in court was police had sent the summons to the wrong address. While in hiding, Pluk gave an interview to the Khmer Times where he sought a compromise with the ruling Cambodian People's Party and to have the court case dropped. The CPP rejected this offer. It can be a very hot potato when reporting on politics, but by applying sobriety, it seems this case does have validity, as the Interior Minister rejected the registration of the CNHP because of the thumbprints of the party members. An official said duplicated thumbprints and forged identities using fake thumbprints to falsely increase the number of party members had been used. Pluk himself seemed to concede this point by saying, "The thumbprint irregularity is not malicious.
We, the founders of the party, need only the right thumbprints. In the case of thumbprint errors, it is unintentional. This kind of appears to be an admission that irregularities had occurred, which is staggering as the party knows full well all paperwork would be scrutinised in great detail. So as to why they allowed such a blatant error to tarnish their name is a huge faux pas, one that allowed their opponents to enact the law and call foul play. An appeal has been lodged.
More good news this week with regards to COVID and returning to what could be called the old normal. Cambodia and Thailand have reopened the Poi Phet border crossing. This welcome change comes after 2 years of closure due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Bante Minche's province's deputy governor said Thai authorities agree to open the border as the pandemic has now eased. Previously, the checkpoint was only open to trucks transporting goods after it was fully sealed to all overland travellers. It has been announced that there are stipulations to travel. All those crossing into Thailand and vice versa must have travel documents and be fully vaccinated. In a statement, the authorities have said, provincial residents and Thai Sakao province residents are urged to apply for border passes to facilitate their crossing. They must also be fully vaccinated and they must have their vaccination cards. Others, of course, must have their passports. Provincial Border Immigration Chief Sem Makara said that immigration were prepared for things to return to normal. He added, we are prepared to welcome tourists and we will do our utmost to facilitate their crossing when they come through Poi Phet or anywhere else within the country. He also noted that security is taken very seriously and all travellers will be assisted with any necessary paperwork. This is certainly welcome news for tourism for both nations.
Being a gangster is a lifestyle choice. One is held by what is often unspoken agreements and codes of conduct that, although violent and dishonest, are acceptable within the gang. It is an epidemic in America, and here in Cambodia, gangsterism has raised its ugly head within schools. They intimidate, they bully, and bring nothing but misery to their victims.
School authorities are looking to curb what is seen as a rise in violent disobedience amongst young boys. They drive fear into other pupils and often extort money from students. An investigation by the Khmer Times conducted in Phnom Penh found that many students are going to school afraid of being bullied and of physical violence. Some have even relocated to other schools. One student, Chetra, said, there are fights almost every single day in school. These gangsters create mayhem. They push everyone around and will gang up on students who stand up to them. Sometimes they will even fight teachers. They ask for 5,000 to 10,000 riel, and if it's not received, they will attack you. He added, I fear that one day I will be on the receiving end of their violence. And he said that the gang he fears most are known as the MC gangsters. He said, if any student looks at any of them, it is trouble. The MC gangsters are armed with knives and they use them when they fight. It is noted that recently a teacher who reprimanded members of the gang was himself physically assaulted, a bag placed over his head and he was beaten. He has since left the school. This, of course, is bullying, but with these boys' tastes for knives, it is much more serious. A pack of young boys fueled with adrenaline and carrying knives is truly a frightening prospect.
There is news that is deeply concerning in the world of business. The Federal Reserve this week is set to redouble its assault against record inflation. Many analysts fear the world's largest economy may fall into recession. With the recent downturn in the world's economy due to the pandemic and the war in Ukraine, some say a global recession is now more likely than ever.
The policy-setting Federal Open Market Committee have strongly signalled that they will hike interest rates and reduce their massive debts. Both moves would further tighten lending conditions in the world's largest economy and further increase consumer prices that are rising at a rate not seen since the 1980s. The rate hike is expected to be one of many the Fed makes this year, but with the economy also facing shocks from the Russian invasion of Ukraine and COVID lockdowns in China, this is certainly an unstable time. Top Fed officials have hinted at further hikes in interest rate as it tries reducing the size of its $9 trillion balance sheet and, of course, the country's $29 trillion debt. The central bank is expected to offload trillions of dollars in treasury bonds and mortgage-backed securities that it bought during the pandemic. The threat of recession is real. Consumer prices are now 8.5% higher compared to last year. The concern is the Fed will raise rates, but inflation will stay high and a global recession will follow. This grim scenario could arrive next year. And for many battered businesses, this could be the final nail in the coffin.
And now it's time to look at all our sports news. His fall from grace could not be more dramatic. Boris Becker was the youngest male Wimbledon tennis champion at just 17. But now, he's no longer a free man. He has been jailed for 2.5 years for hiding over $2 million worth of assets to avoid paying his debts. The 6-time Grand Slam champion was found guilty of 4 charges under the Insolvency Act. His debts reached a staggering $50 million. The court case centred on Becker's bankruptcy in 2017, resulting from his unpaid loan for more than $3 million on his luxury estate in Spain. The judge referred to Becker's previous conviction for tax evasion in Germany and told him, "You did not heed the warning you were given and the chance you were given by the previous suspended sentence. There has been no humility." The prosecutor, Rebecca Chalkley, said, "Even now, Mr. Becker is still seeking to blame others when it was obviously his fault." Now let's have a quick look at the Premier League in England.
And here are the latest results from the Premier League. The 2 games to really look at are Liverpool-Newcastle, Liverpool winning 1-0, and Man City beating Leeds United 4-0. These 2 results are absolutely crucial for either teams because they are neck and neck as to who is going to win the title this season. And with only 3 games left to play, it only takes one of them to slip up and to lose the trophy. Our adopted team, Burnley, by the way, actually won yet again. That's 3 games in a row for them, which will pull them easily out of the relegation zone. We look over now at the table itself, and there you see it. Man City first, Liverpool second, with only 1 point in it. Arsenal did superbly well. They won their last game and they are now in contention to take the 3rd slot from Chelsea. Manchester United, a woeful story, only 1 win out of the last 5.
It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week.
So this is our forecast for next week, and it is just so miserable. No, let's just move on. That's more than enough of that, I feel. Or in fact, no, we have to do the right thing, don't we? Have a look right across the board. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all the way into Tuesday. It is rain, it is lightning, it is storms. But saying that, there is a glimmer of hope, because that lightning symbol has disappeared from Tuesday's predictions. So just maybe better weather is coming.
This has been the Khmer Times News. You can contact myself at the studio by mailing us at ktnewsstudio@gmail.com. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next Saturday for your weekly roundup.